So hi everyone and welcome back. Thanks so much to the people who've taken the time to watch my first 3 videos, to give them likes and comments. I really appreciate that, and it helps me get an idea of where I want to go next. And it gives me some encouragement, so thank you very much for that. This week is just going to be a nice quiet week, kind of an update after the adventure that was last week's video, where I was learning how to ice dye and tea dye, and I hope that those were entertaining for someone besides me, but I really enjoyed myself and I had a good time, and I've got some great pieces of fabric that are just waiting for the right projects now, so I'm really excited about that. So basically all I'm going to do this week, I'm going to give you an update. It's been 2 weeks since I talked about any of my current WIPs, and I have a haul, y'all. I got my tax refund back, and I decided wasn't as much as I thought it would be, but what can you do? You can vote. That's what you can do. If you don't like the way things are going, get out and vote. If you do like the way things are going, get out and vote to keep them that way. Soapbox done, but I got my tax return back, and before I do boring stuff like pay bills with it, I thought I would invest in a few toys and fun things for me. So I have a haul, a little bit of a haul. A couple things haven't come in yet, so they'll come up on a different video. I've got one that is still in the UK. Well, it's en route from the UK. And I've got another package that the owner of the shop had a family emergency, and so all shipping has been kind of suspended for now. Hi, Lexi. What are you doing? Of course, I turn on the camera and here she is. Anyway, so those will come up on a later... Are you comfortable? Go away. Yes, I love you too. Those will come up on a later video, and I'm really excited because there's a couple cute things in there. And these are more utilitarian, but nevertheless very fun. So the first thing I want to do is update you on my WIPs since the last time that I did any sort of... I'm sorry, she's under the desk and it's cracking me up. It's been 2 weeks since I did an update on any of my WIPs, and so I went through and looked at what I've been working on, and I have actually, I think everything that I've worked on in the last 2 weeks I have to show you. No, there's one that's not in this pile, but the first one is one of the Christmas gifts that I'm still working on, the Great Christmas Panic of 2019. This one is for a friend who's a big Shakespeare buff and also has a hard time saying no when people come and ask him for help, because he's a sweet guy and he likes to do things like that. So I'm making him a little reminder. And this is by this is from the store Never Dying Poet on Etsy. I'll put links to all of these in the show description. But basically, what I've got here, to quote Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 3, line 87, no. And there'll be a border of these little skulls all around the outside. So my Shakespearean friend can quote Shakespeare when he wants to turn people down. The next thing I have is the Grimm's Fairy Tale Stitch Along, which you saw a little bit of this in the video last week. This is what I worked on while I was waiting for my tea to steep. And I finally finished January, so now I'm on to February, and I haven't gotten very far on February, but here you go. There's January with the Bremen Town musicians, the flowers. I am loving this overdyed Weeks Dye Works floss. In particular, this Berry Splash. This hibiscus isn't quite as varied a thread as the Berry Splashes. I just love this variegated effect. And as you can see, I've started the castle. What is February? Well, I guess you'll have to wait and see. This one's got me a little bummed. This is my temperature stitch along, and it's Temp Stitch Along Tuesday as I'm recording this. It'll go up live on the website on Wednesday. And I had to record now in order to get it done. But I'm not caught up on my Temp Stitch Along. In fact, it's up to date as of last Tuesday, and I started to catch it up today, and I did 3 days worth of work here, and I had to frog it all because I looked at the wrong line on my temperature data, and it was wrong. And it was off by a lot, so I have to go back and do that. So I'm a week behind on this, which is the first time that I haven't been able to post to my Instagram for a temperature stitch along Tuesday, and it kind of makes me sad. But I'll catch up, no big deal. This is the one I'm super excited about right now. This is the Climbing Goats Design Wonders of Space Stitch Along. And this one, the new patterns come out on the 15th of every month, and on the 16th of the month I finished January, or the 16th of February I finished January. So this is the Ring Nebula, and you can see I got the border set up enough so that I can count for February, which came out just a few days ago, so I'm not very far behind. And I think this one's gorgeous, and I've done a little bit of modification. One of the things I love about these stitch-alongs is that most of them have Facebook groups that go with them, and there's a lot of great ideas for variations and whatnot within them. And so in this one, I've done all the black in étoile, so it's got just a little bit of sparkle, kind of, I don't know, maybe like long distance viewing of stars. So there's a little bit of sparkle there. And I also did the white dwarf in the middle as glow in the dark instead of white. And I think I'm probably going to do that with all the white all throughout the stitch along. But I was really proud that I'm mostly caught up on this one, and it's just gorgeous. And I can't wait to see what the rest of them are. I've seen February's already. I'm super excited about working on it. And I will as soon as I have an opportunity. And then finally, I got quite a bit done on this one since the last time I showed it, I think. I know this one has drawn some interest in the past, some comments on past videos, and this is my Natsu from Fairy Tale. And you can see he's got most of a face now, and you can start to see that famous scarf. But there's a long way to go here. But you can definitely tell who it's supposed to be now, so that's a step in the right direction. So that's mostly what I've been working on the last few weeks. This week I'm probably going to concentrate on just one project. I'm thinking it's going to be Grimm's Fairy Tales, just because the theme for Magical Stitches, which I mention that frequently. I don't know if I've ever explained what it is. Magical Stitches in Literature is a group on Facebook that every month has a book to read. This year our theme is Disney, and so all the books are Disney related. And then each week and each month they have various challenges to do stitching wise. It's great. I really like it. It helps keep me accountable. I know I'm going to have to get a minimum number of stitches in each week. This week I have to do 100 stitches on one project, and it's supposed to be something that makes me want to hole up in a corner and stitch. And that's really how I feel about the Grimm's Fairy Tale, because it's pretty. The flosses are fun, and it's just, and it comes together so quickly. It stitches up really quickly. So that's one of my favorites right now, and I really just like to curl up in a corner and work on that one. So that's probably what I'll work on for the bulk of this week. I did have one finish, and I stupidly did not think to actually take a video of it before I gave it to the person, because I was so excited to give it to them. It was a Christmas gift. I have a picture on my phone. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, but we'll try. So there you go. Your argument is invalid. I have a unicorn, and that is from the shop Granny Panties on Etsy. I opted not to do the border because I did a little bit of a more elaborate frame, and so I thought it had enough around the edges to begin with. The person I gave it to loved it. She'd actually seen a couple pictures of it on my Instagram as I was making it, and when she opened it she goes, "Oh, I was hoping," and that's probably the best feeling in the world for me, is to know that what I put together she likes. So yay, finish! Okay, haul. Like I said, I had a little bit of money. I'm going to be responsible with most of it, but there were a few things I absolutely had to have. There were a few things I wanted to have, and so I got them. And let's see all the fun stuff I got this week. Some of it's pretty boring. I got fabric for 3 new projects. I know, I said I wasn't going to do anything else. I lied, what can I say? Mostly they're full color, so they're whites and off-whites. Except for this one, I did finally break down and I got some easy grid because I'm going to be doing a massive project. It's 36 by 43, it's a little bit more than I need, but not by much. And that's a little intimidating for me. I've never gridded in the past, gridded, whatever. Mostly because when I make counting mistakes, I make them on the pattern rather than on the fabric. And so gridding is not really, I don't feel like it's going to help me too much for the amount of time that I would put into it, but this comes pre-gridded, so we'll give it a shot. And we'll see, maybe I will fall in love with it and I will go through the effort of gridding my projects from now on out. I don't know. So I got some new fabric. I got some new seed beads. These are for the letters from Hogwarts Stitch Along. There's some French knots in there. We know how I feel about French knots, so I'm going to use these instead. Let's see, what else? Oh, you guys like colors? Look at all these colors! I got lots and lots of floss. Like I said, I got 3 new projects coming up, so I went ahead and got all kinds of floss, all the colors. It's making me very happy. And I don't bobbinate, so I don't even have that to dread. I actually use floss away bags. They're a lot more fun. They're just easier for me to use. So look at all that floss. So exciting. Okay, what else? Oh, yes, now we get on to the big toys. Hi, Lexi. Yes, I like you too. The first thing I got, I got a Dremel. I'm so excited about this. I can make needle minders now. Like I said, I do cosplay. Right now I mostly order my costumes. Now I can start building things. Anyone who knows me really well knows the fact that this is even remotely a power tool is a very scary thing. But no one was around to stop me, so I did it. Speaking of that, I also got some neodymium magnets. I'm going to start going to cons. I'm still toying with C2E2 in a couple weekends. I don't know if I'm going to go or not. Depends on if my friend goes. There's Lexi in the background. Depends on if my friend goes with me or not, because I have a really long weekend that weekend and I don't want to drive to Chicago and back by myself. And she's undecided. But if I do, I am going to be on the hunt for pins that are going to make good needle minders. And finally, the last thing I got. I am a devoted Apple user. Not really because I think it's all that great, but because it's what I had. I had the iPhone. So then when my laptop broke, I got a MacBook because it synced everything up with my phone. And then I got an iPad. So I'm a devoted iOS user. But I'm really enamored with the concept of Pattern Keeper, the app, which is not available on iOS yet. So I broke down and bought myself a Fire. And I've already put Pattern Keeper on it. And I look forward to playing with that in the next few weeks, learning how it works, and hopefully sharing that information with you guys. My opinions, my review. but it's really weird to have an Android or Google-based device because I've been on Apple for so long. So it's kind of a learning curve. But I've got Kindle Unlimited too, so that's really, really good for books. There are a few other things I picked up. One thing that I started doing this past weekend, I went up to my dad's house and I started cleaning out my mom's craft room. I think I mentioned before she passed away a few years ago, and my mother was an amazing crafter. I wish I had the manual dexterity that she had. Pretty much, if she saw something she liked on TV, she could recreate it with minimal effort, and I still to this day don't understand how she did it. But so she's got an entire room full of stuff, and I started this weekend to clean it out. I'm going to bring some of it down here and make it my own, especially the stained glass. I actually found a few partially finished pieces up in the craft room that I'm going to, after I learn how to do it and get my feet under me, I might try to finish if I can figure out where she was on those. And I think that would just be a really cool thing. I found a bunch of fabric that looks like it might have been the start of a quilt. Again, quilting is something I wanted to learn, so we'll see about that too. I brought that back. I brought my mother's sewing machine back, which is the one that I learned on, so I'm kind of excited about that, even though it's like 40 or 45 years old. And mine is much newer, but I'm excited to have it anyway. And that was all I could really fit in my car. It was kind of a last minute thing to decide to clean the craft room out, so I didn't have a lot of plans. There's some big stuff that I need to take. The stained glass storage is massive. There is an antique sewing machine that my mom was using as a sewing table, but the original machine is still in it. I've been told it doesn't work. I've also been told by a friend that that can be changed. So that might be a project that you see coming up at some point also. But basically it was just starting to take stock of a really huge room full of really cool stuff and try to figure out what I need, what other people might want, and what I need to give away and what I need to throw away. So you'll be seeing more of that in the future as well. So that's what's new in crafting. In terms of what I've been watching, what I've been reading, what I've been doing while I work on stuff, I haven't watched a lot lately. I watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary. I think I mentioned maybe 2 videos ago that I've been kind of on a true crime kick. I'm a true crime addict. I'm always going to be on a true crime kick, but I'd been kind of focusing on it. So I watched the Netflix documentary on Aaron Hernandez. I finished American Predator by Maureen Callahan. It wasn't my favorite book. I don't think it translated well to audiobook, which was the format I was using because at the time I was driving a lot. And I think I might have enjoyed it more as an actual book than I did as an audiobook. But anyway, I finished that. Television-wise, after that, I haven't been watching a lot. I started going through Voltron again, the new one. I'll probably go through all 7 seasons, and there are only 7 seasons, and you can't convince me otherwise. Probably go through that again just for fun because it's something I can do in the background and I don't have to really focus on it. I can focus on my stitching. Open to suggestions. I really need to get Fairy Tale finished. I need to get Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood finished. But those both require a lot of my attention, and I can't stitch very well doing them, so I've got to get around to that eventually, though. I think I have 35 episodes left of Fairy Tale, and have for a really long time. But Hulu also doesn't play well with my first generation Apple TV, so that's kind of frustrating. Most of what I've been doing is books. Mostly on audio because I can do that while I'm stitching, I can do it while I'm driving, I can do it at work while I've got my hands doing other things. So I said I finished American Predator. I started Miracle at Dunkirk by Walter Lord. I think it's obvious what it's about. I'm not thrilled with it, but again, I think that's a format issue. It's just kind of dry for something that you're listening to when your brain can be wandering other places. So I might just get the book for that. For Magical Stitches, I've been reading Fairest of Them All, which is the first of the Villain series by Serena Valentine. It's about the evil queen in the Snow White fairy tale. It's okay. I mean, it's a kid's book. It's a fast read. So I'm relatively enjoying it. But what I did this weekend on my long drive was Oh, no, I know the other book I read. Where is it? Here it is. I read another book in the Discworld series, Witches Abroad, which was actually really good because it kind of goes with the whole Disney fairy tale theme that we've got going on. If you're familiar with the Discworld series at all, it's obviously from the Witches series. It's hilarious. It's a lot of turning fairy tales upside down on their heads, and fairy tales Terry Pratchett style, enough said. So I really liked that one. And then what I did for the rest of my drive was I started re-listening to the Castle series by Diane Wynne Jones. The first one is the most famous one, Howl's Moving Castle, but there's actually 3 in the series. I love those books. I really love those books. I need to get those books for my nephews and niece. I buy my nephews and nieces books for Christmas every year, and those definitely have to be on their list. One thing I really do hope is someday someone makes a movie that is not so loosely based on the book, that follows the book more faithfully for Howl's Moving Castle. Not that the movie was anything other than amazing. I've watched the movie, it was amazing, it just wasn't quite what I was expecting. Because if you've read the book, you know that the movie very loosely relates to the book. So it was very different. And I really hope that someday someone does the book justice. Things can be great in their own right, and I like watching Howl's Moving Castle also, but I liked the book better. The book was better. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm finishing the last of those right now. The third book is called House of Many Ways, and I've got about an hour left of it. Then I'm going to be working on The Lightning Thief, and I'm going to be working on the book about Theranos, Bad Blood. And there's one more. Oh, I'm going to reread Deadwake by Eric Larson. Because I need a book with a war in it for one of my tasks for Magical Stitches, and that is probably my favorite of all of his books, and I'm a huge Eric Larson fan, so that's what I'm going to be doing there. And that's all I've got for you this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe. Give me suggestions for things to read, things to listen to, things to watch, things to do. I could sure use some direction on where I'm going from here. I have ideas. I have plenty of ideas. But eventually I'm going to need something else, and I'd like to make sure that it's interesting to folks. So that's all I've got for you this week, and I will see you next time. Bye, have a good week. Hey, it's me again. I just realized after I got done with the video that I forgot to tell you the most exciting thing that I actually got this week. And I think I forgot it because it wasn't something that I bought this week with my tax return. It's something I've been waiting for a while. I know what I'm going to be binging the next few weeks because my new avatar Oh, look at that glare. Avatar: The Last Airbender 15th Anniversary Edition of the complete series. First of all, this just looks gorgeous, and second of all, now I have Avatar: The complete series, and I'm gonna binge it this weekend, and I'm so excited. So I had to come back and share that with you and tack it on to the end of the video. Anyway, now I'm really done, and I'll see you next week. Bye.